In this episode of the Latino Business Report, we welcome back Laura Ramirez, a licensed psychotherapist based in Houston, Texas, extending her services statewide. As the owner of Vivid Life Therapy and the Chief Mental Awareness Officer at Culture Creation, Laura fills various roles. She is a mental wellness presenter, trainer, and consultant. Culture Creation is committed to providing individual well-being, empowering people to bring their optimal selves to their families, workplace, and communities. Stay tuned to this podcast, and Laura will share insights and strategies of how you can nurture and sustain a positive mindset, thereby elevating both your professional and personal experiences.
Welcome to the Latino Business Report. This podcast covers business, people, and issues of the day from a Latino perspective. The Latino Business Report is brought to you by TAMAC, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce. TAMAC is the leading Hispanic business organization in Texas since 1975. Now for your host, J.R. Gonzalez.
Welcome to another episode of Latino Business Report. My name is J.R. Gonzalez. I'm your host, and today we have with us Laura Ramirez, a Texas licensed psychotherapist and also a mental health consultant. Laura, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, JR. How are you doing?
Laura, I'm doing great. I really am. The morning was a little rough, but this afternoon I'm doing a lot better. Thank you once again for taking the time to be on the show. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about. And one of the things I do want to mention is that I cannot believe this is episode number 80 already. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, episode number 80, and I really want to take time to thank the listeners. For those that listen on a regular basis, thank you very much. I know you have a lot of podcasts to choose from, and you choose ours. I also want to welcome the new listeners. If you're a new listener out there and listening to the Latino Business Report for the first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy it, and you can find out more about this podcast if you go to latinobusinessreport.com. We have a website with all of our episodes, and you can even go to contact and send me a message. Love to hear from you, new listeners, old listeners, any listeners. Let us know how we're doing, what we're doing, and if you have any suggestions for new podcasts, we're always open to that. So, Laura, I look back through our archives. This is your fifth time that you've actually been. You're getting to be a regular.
I know. I was just going to say, you've done 80, so this is number 80, and so that means you've done about 75 without me. Just had to throw that in there,
You had to throw. So, are you saying that if I've done more with you, my ratings and audience would probably be higher?
Most definitely. You know that.
Okay. Yeah, just that modesty. That's one of the things I love about you. Just that modesty you're talking about. All right. Well, today we're going to talk about how to have an attitude of gratitude. Now, some people may have looked at that title and wondered what the heck are they going to be talking about? So they're probably listening in for that. So can you explain that a little bit about attitude of gratitude?
Yes, definitely. So think about it. There's so many negative things going on in the world today that, we need to find that silver lining in a lot of the things we do, whether it's our personal life or our business life. Just being able to find that little spark of hope that can get us through whatever we're experiencing or dealing with. So that's basically what having an attitude of gratitude is. So today, you and I are going to talk about 3 different points or 3 different things that our listeners can do to really embrace that attitude of gratitude during these difficult times that we're experiencing right now.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Speaking of gratitude and having the right attitude towards it, I do want to mention, I would be remiss if I didn't give a few shout outs before we get started. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
I mean, if we're going to talk about gratitude, let's do a couple of shout outs. Number one, Latino Business Report has some sponsors. If you go to our website, you'll see our list of sponsors, but I want to mention 2 of them today. I want to mention one of our sponsors is Mr. Tortilla. Yes, Mr. Tortilla is a 15-calorie, 1 net carb tortilla. They're handmade. They're made in small batches. And actually, they are the number 1 seller on Amazon. A very popular tortilla, low carb, makes you eat a little bit healthy, but still get all that flavor and protein of a great tortilla. So
they sound really yummy, JR.
I'm sorry?
They sound really yummy.
They are, yeah. They're good. They're good. I've had them. I had the different flavors. They also have some low carb and keto friendly chips, and they have a whole line. So if you're interested in Mr. Tortilla, you can find them at MrTortilla.com. Go to Latino Business Report website, click on their logo, and tells you all about them. We also want to thank Joseph with Moonlight Graphics. Joseph is one of our sponsors. He provides our bling, our caps, our shirts, our any type of printing, our business cards. Joseph does a fantastic job. He is here in Texas. He also delivers. He also can drop ship to wherever you are. But from anything from printing to wedding invitations to your logos on your attire, electronical stuff. He even does wraps on vehicles. So, Joseph, thank you very much for the new business cards you got for me. They're really great. And, of course, I always sport my Latino Business Report shirt whenever I have a chance.
Okay, I'm going to have to say something about that. I am still waiting for my bling.
You're
my
waiting
Latino
still?
Business Report, yes. So, considering the
Darn U.S. Post Office. Okay.
That's right. They lose everything, don't they?
They lose everything. No, I can't blame it on the post office. There's some good hard workers down there. Okay, I tell you what, since this makes number 5th time on the show, we will get you a Latino Business shirt. What do you want? You want a cap? You want a shirt? You want both?
I want both. I want whatever you all produce.
What, you want your own business card now as well?
In fact, I'm still kind of waiting for that co-host gig,
Okay. We'll see about doing it. We'll see about doing that. Let's see if we can't do that before the end of the year. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the subject at hand and attitude. One of the things that when we started talking about this, about doing the show, is you're right. There's a lot of things going on, and even professionals or people who, I'm sure even you have bad days, don't you?
No, never.
No.
That never happens to me. Of course. Everyone has bad days. We're all human, right?
Everybody has bad days. And unfortunately, when you start having a bad day, everything seems to go south, and it seems like all the problems just kind of accumulate and become bigger and bigger. How do you fight that? How do you prevent you from going into that mind funk of just being in a bad mood all the time?
Well, I'm really glad that you asked. So we're going to start with our number 1. So these are going to be 3 points on how to have and maintain an attitude of gratitude. So the first one we're going to talk about today is counting your blessings daily. So how do you do that? So one of the things I always give my clients is something called a gratitude exercise. The gratitude exercise is really just, if you like to journal, then write about it. If you like to think about it, and you're more of that thought instead of writing person, then think about it, or even talk about it if you're the type that likes to verbalize your thoughts out loud. What you're going to do is you're going to come up every evening, either in the evening time or before you go to bed. And what you're going to do is you're going to think of 3 positive experiences that you had from your day. They can be something little as, my cup of coffee was really good this morning, all the way to something, pretty substantial, having to do with like business related, like you got that contract you've been waiting for. So it could be anything. Just 3 positive experiences that you've had.
For me, if I wake up in the morning, that's positive experience number 1.
Well, that would be number 1 for you then. Definitely. You took a breath. You're breathing.
Took a breath. I'm getting older. I'm getting older. Hate to admit it, but it beats the alternative. So okay. So they don't have to be big accomplishments, just little things.
Well, if you think about it, everything is a big deal. We as human beings tend to minimize, the positive things that happen in our life. So yeah, waking up every day is a blessing. Being able to take that breath of air when you wake up is a blessing. So yeah, it can be anything as, that we feel is just something we do daily, all the way to something that doesn't happen very often, something that we're really excited to happen in our lives. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 positive experiences. You're going to think about them, write them down, or talk about them. And then you're going to choose one question to answer for each of your 3 positive experiences. So some of the questions could be, why did this happen? Like, what was a positive experience and why did it happen to me today? Second question could be, why was this good thing meaningful? Like, what was the meaning behind this? And why did I feel that it was important for me to mention it during my time of gratitude? Another question is, how can I experience more of this good thing? The cool thing is that we can, and we'll be talking more about energy and what we put out into the world, but the more, positivity we put out, the more we'll get back. So that's kind of like, how can I experience more of this good thing? And then the last question, or the last activity that you're going to do with this, is you're going to repeat this every day for 1 week. And the reason, that's stated is repeat it every day for 1 week is because it starts to become a habit. So if you think about it, in a week, we have 7 days. If you do it every day for 7 days, you'll really start to feel your energy just lift. You'll have more of a positive energy. And as we mentioned before,
7 days of writing down positive things that have happened to you that day. Think
about it. 7 days of writing, thinking, or just really focusing in on something positive is going to really change your mindset. It's going to you're going to do a mind shift that's going to shift you from the negative way that we tend to think as human beings to a positive way of thinking. Brain research shows that it takes 1 second for us to take a negative thought and hold on to it. And it's something that we remember forever. But it takes 12 seconds for us to hold in our mind a positive thought in order for it to stay embedded into our brain. Think about that. 1 second negative, bam, it just hooks onto your brain. But it takes 12 seconds of a positive thought in order for it to attach itself to our memory.
12 seconds of a positive thought to attach to your memory.
Right. That's why these activities are super important because, as you know, you walk outside, something negative. It's raining. Oh, it's negative.
The neighbor's dog pooped in your yard or something.
Exactly. Just anything. You can walk outside and there's something negative. Or better yet, just turn the TV on. Within a couple of minutes or a second, you're already into the negativity, especially if you're watching the news. So, we have to be able to shift into that positive mindset when we're thinking about our lives and just living more positive, prosperous lives.
All right, so if we shift the mindset, I can understand that. But if you're sitting there thinking all happy and wonderful thoughts and have this positive mindset, what if things around you still consistently go wrong? What good is a good mindset if everything's going to hell in a handbasket?
Think about it. That's life. There's some things we can't control. Life happens. Life can be negative. But why sit in the negativity when you can choose to sit in positivity? Did you know that it takes more energy?
Because it takes me 11 seconds longer to be happy.
And that's too much time, right?
That is way too much time. Okay, you're about to quote something or give me a statistic. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to give you a statistic. I was just going to say that it takes more energy to have a negative thought or to be negative than it does to be positive. And you're just talking about energy right now. It takes you longer to hold that thought. Well, if you want to do less with more, then be more positive.
Okay. I hadn't heard that one before, but it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
So you're saying wake up in the morning, throughout the day, 3 positive things, write them down, journal them, document them, do something with them.
Do something with them.
Talk about them, YouTube them, whatever. Do that for a week, and by focusing in on those positives and doing it consistently for at least 7 days, we'll start shifting your mindset to look at the world a little bit differently.
Exactly. And if you think about it, you do it in the evening or you do it right before you go to bed. What better way to end your day than with something positive? So you could also think about it that way. It's going to make a big difference. It's going to start to put you in that positive realm, that positive mindset, if you have those 3 things that you're grateful for every day. Sometimes we got to search for them. They're not easy sometimes. Okay. Sometimes we have a rough day, but if we really take the time to think about just 3 things that happened throughout the 24 hours that we had that day, then, it's going to make it easier as the days go on to do it. But at least start with 7. Yes, at least start with 7.
Let's start with 7 days.
7 days, yes, at least 7 days. It takes 21 to 28 days to form a habit. But how do you eat an elephant?
1 bite at a time.
That's right. If you eat elephant.
If you have if it is cooked right and there's some good barbecue sauce on it.
That's right. Or with some tortillas from Mr. Tortilla.
With some low carb tortillas.
Yeah.
Eat the whole pinche elephant, but you're not gonna.
Exactly.
You'll gain from the protein and not the carbs of the tortilla.
Exactly.
Okay. It's kind of amazing. They actually made a flavorful tortilla with one carb and low calories. It still
Sounds
baffles
like a
me.
great concept. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. They're good. Okay. So what do we want to talk about
Number
next?
two, I'm going to move on to number two.
Yes. Let's move on to number 2.
So number 2 is be mindful of your negative thoughts and change them into positive thoughts. And an activity that I always give my clients is called decatastrophizing your thoughts. Okay. That's kind of a long word.
Okay.
In fact, I always get tongue tied when I say it.
Don't
So I did
don't
good right now.
don't ask me to spell it. Don't ask me to spell it.
So we as humans do a really good job of making everything into a catastrophe. We do that in our minds every single day. We can take a simple little negative thing that happened, and before we know it, it's a catastrophe. And we're stressed and we have anxiety. And so this activity actually helps us to minimize that. So what you're going to do.
So that's just not a Latina trait to turn everything into a catastrophe.
It probably is. It's primarily a Latina trait, but you know what?
Okay.
I'm sure it's all over. It's across the,
All
the
right.
spectrum. So what you're going to do when you decatastrophize something, the first thing you do is you think about what is it specifically that you're worried about? Our mind is where the battlefield takes place, right? So there's all kinds of thoughts rushing, but when you narrow it down and you pinpoint, what is it that I'm making a big deal out of? What is it that's really, really causing me this stress? So you think about that. What am I worried about? And pinpoint it, focus on it, write it down. What is it that I'm worried about? The next thing you do with that problem is you ask, how likely is it that your worry will come true? And you use evidence based on past experience or any examples that you've experienced in the past. What I find a lot of times is that the problem that we're worried about is something that never happened. We've never had experience with it. It's just something in our mind that troubles us. So if that's the case, then chances are you have no past experience and no evidence that what you're worried about will probably happen. But if it has, and you have past experience and you have some past trauma or PTSD of something that you're struggling with, then what is the lesson that you learned from that and how can you do things differently? So you kind of have to look at it both ways. There's two sides to every coin. So you always have to look at both sides. The third thing you're going to ask yourself when you're decatastrophizing is, if your worry does come true, what is the worst thing that could happen? So let's just say that, we're talking about our business and we have a client that we're working with. And the problem is, we may have said something that negatively impacted our client. That's the thought I have in my mind, right? So as I work through this decatastrophizing activity and I get to the point where it says, if your worry does come true, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen in this particular scenario is that I lose the client. I no longer have that client as part of my business. That's the worst thing that could happen. Then I go to my next question, which is, if your worry does come true, what is most likely to happen? And the thing is that a lot of these thoughts, these catastrophic thoughts that we have, again, they're things that we make up in our own mind. We are our worst enemy at times, especially with our thoughts. So if my worry does come true, what's the most likely thing that will happen? The most likely thing is I didn't say anything wrong. From my perspective, I did. But in the true grand scheme of things, that client comes back, we do business, and we continue with our business relationship. Because chances are there's no evidence to prove that anything did happen. It was all in the mind. And then number 4 is, if your worry does come true, what will most likely happen? Well, if it does come true and I lose the client, I could always try to repair it. Contact them, see if there's anything we can do to fix a misunderstanding, whatever the case is. That would probably be the likely next step, depending on what the problem is. And then the last question is, if your worry does come true, what are the chances you will be okay in 1 week? It's probably going to bother me in a week. I'm going to still be thinking about it and I'm still going to be reaching out trying to fix it. In a month, if I try to repair it and it doesn't work, well, in a month, it's been a month. 4 weeks have gone by and I still have other clients and I've learned from that mistake. And then in a year, it's probably going to be history for me, or a really big lesson that I learned. But time will fix it. Time will make it not as big. That's kind of what I wanted to share with the
Time will make it hurt lesson.
It
Now
might.
okay. Well, we're talking analogies here in business, but this can also be applied to people's personal lives as well, right?
Of course, any problem that we have, relationship wise, you lose a friend. You say something, same thing. You say something because we, as humans, do not know how to properly communicate at times. That's one of the
Right.
the three deadlies in a relationship is the lack of communication or the lack of proper communication. So yeah, it could happen in a relationship. It could happen in a romantic relationship or with a family member. You don't communicate properly. You say something and it's misconstrued. The perspective is taken completely wrong. And there's that negativity that happens or that break in the relationship. So yeah, it could be used for both business and relationships, your personal life.
Okay. All right. Well, that kind of makes sense. How to have an attitude of gratitude. All right. So you can break out the little pencil and paper and go old school, write down things before I go to bed, whichever time that is. Sometimes I watch the sun come up. But I'll keep that in mind. I'll give that a shot.
Another thing that some of my clients that you just said, break out the pencil and paper, old school. I love journaling, and a lot of millennials and Gen Zs don't like to journal, don't like to actually break out the paper and pen. I'm not generalizing, but some do not because they grew up in the technology era or where pencil and paper weren't really that important. So one of the things I suggest to my clients is if you go to your phone, especially on the iPhone, you have a little thing called a voice memo. You can also journal that way. You just share your thoughts onto your voice memo, and that becomes your electronic journal, if that's something you're comfortable doing as well.
Oh, these younger people today. I attended a wedding here recently, and when the bride pulled out her iPhone to give her vows, I'm going, okay. I said, all right, I just took a deep breath.
Pencil and paper. Where did the pen and paper go?
Yeah, it's a generational thing. It's a generational thing. Okay. So, I am definitely going to try that. Let's see if it can improve my disposition and attitude, because there are days that, there are just those bad days I have. And here lately, for some reason, I've had more bad days than good, but we won't give up. We'll stay positive.
Well, I hope not, JR. I hope you've seen more better days than not.
Well, you're probably right. I think I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed in so many ways. I got a lot of good things happening in my life and a lot of people around me that care for me. But at the same time, I tend to, when you're accustomed to things going well and then those little things happen that don't go, I sometimes focus on the bad, going, why did that happen? Or what did I do? Or how can I fix that? And it takes my focus off the positive things. So that is a problem I'm going to have to learn to deal with, how to adjust my thinking. And when 95% of the world is going good for me, why am I focusing on that 5%?
Exactly. That's with everything. So yeah, that's a good way to see it. So I'm going to be able to help you with that because I'm going to give you tip number 3.
Okay.
So tip number 3 is to exude positive energy. What you think is what you attract. So it's kind of like a magnet. You attract what you're putting out, whatever your vibration.
Okay. Does that fall into what I've heard before, the law of attraction? I've heard this for a while now. But you put out positive stuff into the universe, and the universe is going to be kind to you and be positive back to you. I mean, is that?
You're right. It's like manifesting, law of attraction, just what you put out into the universe. You're exactly right. But in the same respect, if you put out negativity, you're going to get back negativity. If you put out I can't do it attitude, that's what you're going to get back too. So it works both ways.
Kind of like the old children's storybook, The Little Train. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
Yeah, if you want to see it that way, yes, exactly.
Okay,
and if you think about it, positivity, you radiate positivity. Energy is, you can feel energy. So if you're around people that have negative energy, you're not going to want to be around them too much longer, right? But people who exude positivity, those are the people that like feed your soul. Those are the people that you're like, I want to hang out with this person. They give me, good vibes. They're, they have these high vibes. They're very positive all of the time. So those are the people that you want to gravitate to. They get people wanting to come to them. And then the people that are not, they repel people. And I'm sure you know some of those people too. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was stuck with a bunch of them not too long ago on an airplane. Tell me if this is what you're talking about. I was fortunate. I was in Bentonville, Arkansas, with the home office of Walmart. was up there to watch their open call and at a stakeholders meeting. And on the way back, there was a group of us that had been kind of together for the past 2 or 3 days. And we're at the airport, and we had an 8:17 flight. I won't mention the airlines, but it was a true American airline. But anyway, due to weather, they said, no, we're not taking off yet. It was an 8:17 flight, and we sat there until after midnight. And everybody, a long time, especially when the restaurants were closed and there's no food, there's no beer, there's no chips, nothing. And then when we do finally fly, they said, well, it's supposed to have been a 45-minute flight to DFW. It turned into almost a 2-hour flight because of weather. They had to go around it. Needless to say, when we landed, all the connecting flights were already gone. The airport was empty. People were freaking out. They were getting on their phones. They were trying to reschedule flights. They were looking for hotel rooms. They were doing all this other stuff. Me, I wasn't doing a thing. They're going, Gerald, what are you going to do? I go, I don't know. It'll work out for me. It'll work out. And as they're freaking out, I'm just going, it's going to work out. But the thing that really worked out, and when I fly, I've done a lot of traveling. I just do not stress. I don't even have those apps on my phone to make adjustments because I just have a positive feeling it's going to work out. On the first leg from Arkansas to DFW is one of those smaller planes. And the two biggest guys in the plane, me being one of them, they sat us right next to each other. So I was like shoulder to shoulder with this guy, about twice my size. I mean, we're like pressed up against each other. And there's a young lady, a young co-ed sitting right behind me. I believe, I hope I get her name right, but I believe it was Stephanie. And she's all dressed up in her little, I think she's a sophomore, and she's all dressed out in her Razorback attire. And she's kind of jumping into the conversation as a group of us are talking. And I look back and go, Stephanie, do you have an entire row to yourself? And she goes, yes, I do, sir. And I'm going, how lucky some people get. And right before takeoff, I don't know what did it, but she kind of said, she tapped on my chair, and I go, yeah. She goes, if you want to, I'll trade seats with you. I go, are you serious? Nice. That was very nice. I go, are you serious, young lady? She goes, yeah. I mean, she's like 5'0", you know. She said, yeah, I'll trade with you. And I go, boom. You know, they had already said, you know, sit down, cabins, you know, doors are shut, nobody moved. Nombre, I got up, I jumped, and I switched. So I thought that was very nice of her. I don't know what it was that caused her to do that. I mean, it might have been my charm and good looks. What do you think? You know, you can jump in here anytime, you know.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say it was your good energy. How about that?
It was my good energy.
It was your positivity.
It was my positive. No, but I wasn't being positive at the time. I was complaining. But anyway, she did that. When we finally landed in DFW, the place was empty. I mean, everybody had gone home. All the ticket counters were shut. Nothing was operating. And I'm sitting there trying to find somebody to maybe reschedule a flight. And everybody around me is just freaking out, going, we're going to get a hotel, we're going to do this. I was going, you know, but the worst scenario, I'll just sleep in a chair there at DFW. Then I just said the comment out loud, I just want to get to Austin and I'll be happy. And then somebody behind me about, 20, 30 yards away goes, did I hear Austin? And I go, yo, I raise my hand. I'm going to Austin. I got an Uber coming. Do you want to go? And I go, an Uber to Austin from DFW? He goes, make up your mind. It's going to be here in 1 minute. I looked at the group of people I was with. I says, hey, guys, I'm out of here. I go, sir, got a quick question before I say yes. He goes, what's that? And he goes, are you like a mass murderer or anything? Are they going to find my body in a ditch along the highway? He goes, no, man, I just want to get home, and I don't want to go by myself. So I go, all right. So I jump in. We jump in the Uber. We start negotiating with the Uber driver. And I look at him and says, hey, what am I going to owe you for this? He goes, don't worry about it. I got it. And I go, are you serious?
That's awesome.
So it was like over $500, from DFW. And it was one of those things. I guess, the airline or the travel gods were smiling on me or what. I don't know what did it, but I went into the whole thing. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And it did work out. And I had to wait a little while for my luggage, but that's another story. But I do believe in positive thinking. And
that's a perfect example right there. You just gave us a perfect scenario of, you could have easily done what everybody else did, which was rush to try to get your tickets changed, but you just believed that things were going to work out, and they did. So
yeah, they were getting all frustrated, and I just had my headphones listening to my music, just chilling out because, one, I don't have airline apps on my phone, And two, it's like, why worry about it? It's not going to help.
Right.
It's what's going to happen is going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay. So putting positive feelings out in the universe comes back to you. That's good to know because, yes, I live it, I breathe it, and I'm great at finding parking spaces.
See, you attract it, right? That's what you put
There
out
you
there.
go.
You're going to get a good parking space. You get it back. So what a difference from driving around saying, oh, I never get the good parking space. Well, guess what? You're not going to get it if you say that. So,
Yep.
perfect.
And okay, so if it works, what can somebody do to help their situation and maybe manifest some of that positive energy coming back to them from the universe?
Well, just do what you said right now, which is, there's a lot of things in life we can't control. I mean, you can't control an airplane. You can't control that it's going to get stuck somewhere. You can't control the weather. So it's just staying positive regardless of the circumstances. You could have, like you mentioned, you could have fallen back into the negativity of, the whole negative airplane or airport experience, being stuck there. But you knew that something good was going to happen. So it's just keeping that positive mindset. And then also getting out of our head. As I mentioned before, that's the biggest battlefield. The thoughts that come into our mind are what bring us down. They're what defeats us. So we just have to keep that in mind, that sometimes the enemy is, that's right, the enemy is in me. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Staying positive, having an attitude of gratitude, and following those 3 simple things that we just talked about.
And it actually works.
You're proof of that. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I am.
Let me manifest that Latino Business Report bling too, so I can get it back really quickly. Let me put it out there.
All right, keep positive thoughts, and maybe we'll get you that Latino Business Report bling. And I'll go to Joseph and see if we can't get you something. You want it personalized with your name on it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, and then hey, I'll throw in a pack of a sample pack of Mr. Tortillas, low carb tortillas.
That sounds even better.
I know you're a runner and do that, so let me get you some stuff, and we'll definitely take care of that. I definitely want to say, offline, let's talk about maybe co-hosting a show where you're not the guest and I'm not the interviewer, where we're both interviewing somebody else. We might be able to have some fun with that.
That sounds good.
But Laura, anything else? I know you've had some changes in your life. I mean, you're a licensed psychotherapist, and as of late, you started up another part of your business, and that is doing consulting. Can you tell us about that before you go?
Yes, I'm super excited. I'm working through a company called Culture Creation, and I'm actually the Chief Mental Wellness Officer with Culture Creation. And I am now branching off into doing mental health trainings, mental health coaching, and also mental health consulting. So,
all right,
doing what I love.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do we need to call Moonlight Graphics for new business cards, or do you have those already?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be contacting them soon. And for some bling of my own.
Some bling of your own, my gosh. Okay. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to the Latino Business Report. Once again, my name is J.R. Gonzalez. I've been your host. And visit us at LatinoBusinessReport.com for a complete library of all of our episodes. I've been remiss if I wouldn't mention our editor, Cortland. Cortland has been with us for almost probably about 70. No, he's probably been with us for over 50 episodes, and he's the one who does all the editing and gets all this stuff ready to be uploaded to the web. So, Cortland, thank you very much for doing the outstanding job that you've done and I continue to do. And just for those out there, you can find a photo of Cortland and his bio on our website. And also, congratulations, he's also working on his second master's degree now.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, Cortland. He's awesome. He makes me sound good when I get on the podcast with you.
And, since I'm doing shout-outs, one more. Congratulations to KJ and Laura. That is the couple that I married in Georgia about a month ago. They're doing fine, but it was my first wedding. I officiated a wedding. And I told him that on one of my next podcasts, I'd give him a shout out. So thank you very much. Thank you for trusting me to marry you on such an important day. And KJ, please say hello to your father-in-law and remind him my name is Gonzalez, not Rodriguez. But that's okay.
It happens all the time. I get it all the time too.
Yeah, well, when you're the only Hispanic out of 300 people at the wedding, it's kind of like You think I would have been easy to recognize. But anyway, doesn't matter. Laura, before we go, any closing comments? Any closing thoughts?
Just we're headed right into the holidays, so just keep the 3 tips we shared today in mind, and just continue in having an attitude of gratitude, and you'll be able to attract positivity everywhere you go.
There you go. And for those who like this episode, go back through our library. You'll find some other tips from Laura, especially dealing in the holiday season and how to deal with relatives and how to cope. And some good breathing exercises, too, that I've learned. So thank you very much for that. Guys, till next time. And if you're interested in having some Latino Business Report bling of your own, go ahead and write me, contact me through our website, and we'll see about hooking you up. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I know you have a lot of choices. Thank you for choosing Latino Business Report, and have a great day.